It is the day before Halloween and Sammy Squirrel has a huge problem. He needs to collect nuts for his family to eat over the winter, but he has already looked everywhere and there are simply no nuts to be found. And if that wasn't bad enough, Sammy's brother, Sly, has gone out last night and stolen all of the nuts from their secret stash. Sly said he would give Sammy all of them back if Sammy could get him some extra special nuts called star nuts. And Sammy promised to bring them back. But where can he find these rare nuts? As Sammy walks through the forest, he sees a sign that says, "Go down this path and win 100 star nuts." But when he gets to the end of the path, there is nothing there at all. Just as he is about to turn back, a little chipmunk darts out in front of him and says, "Hey, you're not going to believe this, but those 100 star nuts are actually buried under that tree." Sammy looks around and sees no one else around. "Thanks for your help," he says to the chipmunk, and then begins digging furiously in the dirt with his little claws. But after a while, he gives up. There aren't any star nuts here. Sammy continues his search, and soon he comes across a majestic owl sitting on a branch. "Excuse me," says Sammy, "do you know where I can find some star nuts?" The owl slowly turns its head and stares at Sammy. "Why, you silly squirrel," she says. "Star nuts don't grow on trees. You need to go look underwater." With that, the owl flies away. Sammy thinks to himself, underwater? What the heck does that even mean? But he decides to look around anyway, and he soon spots a babbling brook nearby. Looking around, he sees that there are no fish in the stream, so it must be pretty shallow. Sammy takes a deep breath, tucks his tail between his legs, and wades into the water. As he swims downstream, he sees all sorts of strange things, like a broken teapot, an old boot, and even a porcupine. But he doesn't see any star nuts. Sammy swims all the way to the other side and climbs out on a rock. When he looks back, he sees that the current was so strong that the rock he was standing on has moved further downstream. "I guess I'm pretty far from home now," Sammy says to himself, "and I still don't have any star nuts." Just then, he hears a voice behind him say, "Looking for these?" Sammy whirls around and sees a rabbit holding a sack full of star nuts. "How did you know?" Sammy asks. The rabbit smiles. "I saw you come in and I've been watching you struggle to find the hidden nuts. It's time for you to learn a lesson." Sammy's eyes widen in fear. "Is this rabbit going to eat him?" Sammy asks. "What lesson?" The rabbit says, "You need to stop worrying so much. Your brother Sly is a trickster, and it sounds like he tricked you really badly this year. But all that worry you're feeling isn't going to do anything to help you get food for your family. Instead, you should take a deep breath, relax, and just figure out what to do next." Sammy takes a moment to think about what the rabbit said. Maybe he is right. All of this worry isn't helping anyone. Taking a deep breath, Sammy says, "All right, let's figure this out." As soon as those words leave his mouth, the rabbit disappears. The sack of star nuts vanishes, and Sammy finds himself back on the bank where he started swimming. But now he feels calm and focused. His mind is clear, and he can think of a plan. First, he runs back home as fast as he can. When he gets to their tree, he jumps inside and sees Sly Squirrel happily munching on their secret stash of nuts. "Sly," Sammy says, "I've got something to tell you." But before he can say another word, Sly jumps out of the tree and runs off as fast as he can. Sammy chases after him, and soon they are running through the forest. After a while, they arrive at a big oak tree. "Okay, I give up," says Sly. "What do you want?" Sammy tells Sly, "I'm not angry at you anymore, but I do want to make a deal." "Okay," says Sly suspiciously. "What kind of deal?" Sammy says, "I want you to take me to all of the places where you hid our secret stash of nuts, and then I will hide my stash of nuts somewhere you will never find them." Sly thinks for a moment. "Well, I guess that's fair. Deal." Sammy shakes paws with his brother and then follows them to each nut hiding spot. After they are done, Sammy takes Sly back home and then off to bed. The next morning, Sammy wakes up early and gathers all of his favorite nuts and some berries for good measure. Then he sets off into the forest. Sammy wants to hide his stash of nuts somewhere safe, but he also wants it to be somewhere that Sly will never find. Sammy's search takes him all around the forest. He considers hiding his nuts inside of a hollow log, but that's too easy. He thinks about hanging his nuts from a tree limb, but that could be dangerous if a hungry bear decides to climb that tree. Finally, Sammy comes across a tall waterfall deep within a cave. At the top of the falls is a small hole, and if Sammy's nuts were to fall through that hole, they would drop into a deep pool of water below. Sammy loves it. This is the perfect place to hide his nuts. Sammy collects some leaves and makes a little pile at the entrance of the hole. He wants to make sure that his nuts don't just roll off the ledge, so he carefully balances the pile of leaves on the edge. Then he starts dropping his nuts one by one into the hole. Occasionally, a nut will bounce off the side of the hole and fall onto the leaves, but most of them fall into the pool of water below. Once all of his nuts have fallen, Sammy takes a moment to admire his work. If Sly ever tried to get his nuts, he would never think to look here. As Sammy turns to go home, he kicks a little stone on the ground. The sound echoes in the cave and suddenly Sammy freezes. He listens carefully. Did he just hear someone else? Sammy hides behind a nearby rock and peeks his head out. He sees a deer walking by, but it quickly disappears around a bend in the path. Sammy thinks to himself, maybe I was just imagining things. He takes a deep breath and tries to relax. Sammy knows that he shouldn't be afraid. He's a squirrel, not prey, but something about this cave makes him feel uneasy. Sammy tries to shake off his nervousness and continue on his way home, but just as he takes a step, he hears a loud crack. Sammy squirms as he ducks under a low-hanging branch. When he looks back, he sees that the branch has fallen across the path, and if he had been a second slower, it would have landed right on him. Sammy continues on, but he keeps jumping at every little noise. Suddenly, he hears a crash followed by a loud roar. Sammy whirls around and sees a big, mean-looking bear standing in front of him. Hello, Sammy says nervously. The bear takes a step towards Sammy and says, "Give me all of your nuts, little squirrel." Sammy takes a deep breath and remembers what the wise rabbit told him. Worrying won't help him now. He needs to stay calm. Sammy looks into the bear's eyes and says, "Actually, I don't have any nuts. Maybe you should ask that deer over there." The bear looks in the direction that Sammy is pointing and takes off running. Sammy watches him go and then lets out a sigh of relief. When he finally makes it home, Sammy's family is very happy to see him. And although they didn't get many nuts that year, they did learn a valuable lesson about staying calm when things seem scary. As the family snuggles together for warmth, they remember the brave adventure Sammy had and how even though he was scared, he never gave up.